Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is kind of like part two of my, well, it's not part two, this is the Halloween version of my, what am I calling this? My art journal. This is kind of like art journal week, I guess. So I'm going to do a Halloween themed page today. And as in the first one, which would have been Tuesday's tutorial, the pages that I'm using are from or the whole book is actually a W. Smith watercolor pad. It has about 12 pages in it, but because it's on a ring binder kind of spiral system, I thought that worked really well for as a art journal book. And what I did here was that as in the last one, I'd sprayed a few years ago now. I'd made up my own ink sprays and I sprayed one side of the page very liberally with a few colours, and then I basically closed the book on itself and closed those pages together so that the second generation of that ink would be on the page next to it in a much lighter version. So I decided to go with the brighter one. I thought the colours worked really well for like a Halloween-y kind of sky. Which is kind of where we're going with this, and this is very freeform. I did use and I am using Tim Holtz Spooky Stuff stamp set, which I've used the crow or raven, depending. I don't know if there's a crow or raven, but you know, one of them. And the scaredy cat, which I thought was kind of funny and apt. And also I will be using one of the other stamps in it to make like a sign, kind of like a signpost thing. And I will also bring in another stamp set from forever ago called Ultimate Grunge. And I believe that one's still around. This one I can't find many places, but I'm sure the Ultimate Grunge is still around. So this for me was, as I've mentioned before, this is art journaling for me is very much an emotional thing. It's very much a kind of like some people will have their their gratitude journals or their journals that they write in every day, or their diaries like when we're in high school. But I can't get the words out in word form, so I make art. And I think that's okay to do. I think this is at least some way that I can get stuff off my chest in whatever form it comes out in. So in particular, although I had obviously an idea for my channel, I also want to say that this is very much freeform. I had an idea in my head, and being Halloween, I'm going to make it as weird as it can be because that's Halloween for me. And the weirder the better, even in everyday life. It's just how my little brain works. But I just freeformed the tree. The bottom is supposed to be like the roots of the tree. And yeah, I just took some black acrylic paint. I actually got that paint from the Works. They actually have quite a good selection when you can get to it, of course. They actually have quite a good selection of those little bottles. I think they were like £1 for the little bottle that I showed you. Very inexpensive, but it's nice paint. It's not, you know, obviously it's not the most expensive or fancy, but it works, and it works. So I just used, like I say, the black paint for this. Don't really know what to say about this page. It kind of evolved as I was doing it, and it just, sometimes that happens in art journaling, or any art form. It's sometimes it just evolves. You know, you'll have one main idea, and then you'll keep going and keep going, and eventually you'll have a completely different thing in front of you. And that's okay. I think that's okay anyway. In my head, that's okay. So what I also decided to do was, where I'd stamped the images, although they are supposed to be this sort of more grungy looking image, I wanted to paint them solid so that they were just, it was almost like this silhouetted page against this sort of orangey pink background. So I'm just painting in my crow. I'm going to call him a crow. And I've done the cat. Obviously the cat needs something to stand on, so we'll sort that out in a minute, but he's just yeah, we'll just get the painting of the crow done for now. So yeah, so I'm going to now attempt and again, this is what happens. I had this idea in my head and I went, oh, let's do this, let's make a fence. Yeah, the poles on my fence weren't quite what I had in mind, so I had to sort of redo those a little bit just until I was happy with it. And I think, again, that's okay to do. You know, if you're not happy with something on your pages, you know, it's not quite what you thought we're thinking of, just go over it. It's just paint and some paper. That's how you have to think of it. And the same with card making. It's just paper and card. Worst case, you start again. You know, it's not sort of it's not end of the world stuff. Although I will say that with a lot of things, and especially like card making, I will try and fix it if I can, because, you know, especially with something like this, I mean, this was completely, like I say, freeform. I just went for it, and I don't normally do this because I'm normally, you know, planning things and making sure I've got everything under control, and so that I have it planned nicely for you guys and, you know, for my channel and stuff like that. But you can't with something like this. This you have to let go, and I'm finding that extremely hard to do, especially at the moment. I don't know how to let go, and just, yeah, I don't know how to do that. So this has been quite a good experiment this whole week, where I have made these pages for you guys. Obviously they're an art journal thing, so if you're into that, then that's great. Hopefully it inspires you. But it's also been a bit of a good, which is maybe why I decided to do it. It's been a bit of a good bit of therapy for me to do this. So I know this isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. I even looked at it afterwards and went, yeah, not liking this, and contemplated redoing the video because I wasn't happy with it. But then when I saw it the next day, I actually sat back and thought, you know what, that's how I felt at that moment, and that's what came out. So that can't be a bad thing, you know. So yeah, definitely use it as therapy. Yeah, definitely. Some people can talk for England, and obviously I talk a lot on my videos, but I can't. I struggle with that. So art journaling is definitely a way for me to get, or art in general is definitely a way for me to at least offload. I know it's not words, and I know it's not, you know, the conventional way of doing things, and I know that it's not necessarily, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't help me really, but it in a sense helps me, because I get to just be me and not worry about society, not worry about conventional crap, not worry about, oh, should I be doing this? Is this okay? You know, all this sort of stuff, which is what happens all the time. And I'm normally like that. I'm normally like, oh crap, I'm going to do this. Do I have to do this? Is this the right thing? Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm always apologizing for everything. With something like art journaling, you don't have to apologize for anything. It's you. It's your art. It's you. So yeah, that's my little spiel for 5 minutes. And if you're still here, thanks. So what I did was I used the paint on the stamp, and I just sort of tapped it on with the side of the brush to get the paint on there instead of using an ink, because I knew that if I'd used an ink again like I did with the other two, with the crow and the cat, that it may not stamp as well. You know, obviously it's a journal, so it's got other stuff in it as well. And unlike having a MISTI for your stamp journals, there's an idea. I wouldn't be able to like stamp over and over in the same place and get it spot on. So I used my paint instead, but make sure that you wash that off. I just used a baby wipe and just scrubbed it with the baby wipe to get that paint off. And then I'm pretty sure I cleaned it afterwards as well with my stamp scrubby thing. Just to make sure you get rid of that paint, otherwise it will dry on there. And that's what made my little what do you call it, like signpost thing. It's actually like it's supposed to be like a label, so it's like a poison label. I thought it was quite cool. Mind you, everything Tim Holtz is cool. Let's just put it there. We're just going to say that. Anyway, I'm not a fan or anything. I'm joking. Right, so I then took some distress ink in black soot. This is just the regular, there's nothing regular about it, the regular distress ink, as opposed to the oxides. The oxides tend to be more chalky and sit sort of on top of the paper, kind of like a pigment, which is part of their fun. But I wanted that sort of more intense black. For that, like I kind of, in my head, I think I was thinking like rolling clouds, you know, there's really dark clouds and you just imagine something really weird coming out of nowhere. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to take the Ultimate Grunge. So I nearly lost my whole thought there. And I'm using that. This is, you'll see, this is a very well loved and very messed up stamp set, but it still goes and I just love it. So I'm actually using the crackly, it looks like crackle or like cracked glass kind of thing, and I just again got rid of the block. Get rid of the blocks, learn to let that stuff go. Just use your hands, get your hands mucky, use your hands with the stamp. And I used that around the tree and along the edges, and then my camera cut out. So this is where I was going to use the collage medium in crazing, and like I said in my previous video, if you haven't watched that one, both this one and the vintage one were solid in their little jars. So I'm a bit miffed that I didn't actually check that when I actually got it, because I could have sent it back. Now I can't do that. So when you buy your products, A, check them, make sure they're the way they're supposed to be, the consistency they're supposed to be, and all that sort of thing. And B, if not, then send it back. And B, don't be afraid of them. I honestly wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, so that's why it sat in my drawer for so long. But we're talking like a few months, we're not talking years. But I actually have a feeling that this might have already been like this when I bought it, rather than it developing, because they were sealed. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but anyway, I'll have to do that again. But there we have it. I used, you know, my camera died, so there's a few extra bits there, but I used that crackle stamp in some other areas and on the tree to make it look like the tree, part of the tree, and I actually think it works really well for that. So that was another reason I was really quite chuffed with this. But I hope you like this. Stay tuned for the Christmas one, and if you haven't seen Tuesday's tutorial, then please go and check it out. Yeah, I hope you like this freeform art journaling madness that is in my head. So, yeah, happy Halloween, guys. We're in the month, we're in October. Yes. See you later, guys. Bye.